Well, with this crowd, we must be talking football or something exciting. Thank you for joining me this morning. I see some legislators that are having budget hearings and have an interest in this, so thank you for joining us today. I also want to express appreciation to the War Memorial Commission. With me, I'm joined by Brenda Scisson, who is on the War Memorial Commission, and she expressed regret, and I know that there's many commissioners that wanted to be here that have conflicts this morning. Chris Beckett is quoted in the news release, and Chris is in California right now, and he's serving on the commission. Kevin Crass was unable to be here, and there's a quote by him as well. But I'm delighted that Brenda could be with us, and I'm also joined by Jerry Cohen, who is the stadium director, as well as Kane Webb, who is the Director of Parks and Tourism. For 3 decades, I've been enjoying War Memorial Stadium. Actually, if you're technical about it, more than 3 decades. From football games to other events, and the Salt Bowl this year, as well as last night, I was there at War Memorial Stadium with my grandson, who was playing for a championship game. And so I was there last night. It is recognized in my life and all across Arkansas as a premier event center in this state, and my commitment is to make sure that it remains strong, an important part not just of our history but of our state's future. And whenever you look at War Memorial Stadium, you have to give thanks to the commission led by Chairman Kevin Crass for the outstanding devotion they've had to making War Memorial Stadium a success and an opportunity for all of Arkansas to enjoy that historic facility. But this news conference is not about history. This news conference is not about memories of the past. This news conference is about the future and the important role that War Memorial Stadium will play in our economic future and the tourism of this state as well. My commitment to War Memorial Stadium has never wavered. Tourism is something that I've promoted in this state with 28 million visitors last year, a $7 billion spent by those visitors. I recognize how important it is to the economic future of this state, and War Memorial Stadium is a critical part of our lifeblood as well as our economic future. And so today I'm pleased to announce a couple of items that will serve to strengthen and give a confident future for War Memorial Stadium. I will be asking the Arkansas General Assembly to move the War Memorial Stadium Commission away from being a standalone independent agency and move it to the umbrella of the Arkansas Department of Parks and Tourism. Why do I believe this is a good move? Well, first of all, by moving it into Parks and Tourism, it will have more marketing and administrative support that is much needed for the work of the stadium. It will have greater access to grant funding through being a part of Parks and Tourism. It is a natural fit with Parks and Tourism being devoted to marketing, tourism dollars, running premier event centers all across this state and attracting visitors to Arkansas as well as events. So it's a natural fit. It provides strength. This is an example of an efficiency that expands the vision, the mission, and the strength of War Memorial Stadium. I'll be asking the legislature to make this transfer during the legislative session, but I hope even during the interim a partnership can be built. And then finally, I want to announce today that I will fund through my access to discretionary funds of the state, I will fund a study by a nationally recognized stadium consultant to make recommendations on the future needs and opportunities of War Memorial Stadium. This is something that is needed to give us really an understanding of all of the opportunities that are presented to us and also what the needs are for the stadium. And so with that, I want to thank Kane Webb for being here today, my Director of Parks and Tourism, and ask him to make a comment.
Thank you, Governor. It was pretty exciting for an old sports writer like me. It's exciting. I think it's also a really good fit for the Department of Parks and Tourism. It's in our wheelhouse. It's what we do. We're in the hospitality and tourism business. We run facilities, we put on events, we serve the public, and we know how to get the good word out about Arkansas and its many attractions. I also think it's a real compliment to the competence and ability of our coworkers at the agency at Parks and Tourism. We have an established record of getting things done, taking care of business, of doing right by the taxpayers, the citizens of Arkansas, and our guests. And our team is ready for this challenge. I had a small group go out and meet with Jerry the other day, Friday morning. Man, they speak the same language. It just seems like a really, really natural fit for us. I really like the idea of the governor's feasibility study. It always helps to have an objective outside look at something, especially when it comes to this something, which is such an emotional and cultural touchstone for so many of us in Arkansas. And I know this about the future, but not the past. And I know that numbers have been driving this story. I understand that. But, you know, on a personal note, I love War Memorial Stadium. I saw my first college football game there in 1972. My dad took me to see Joe Ferguson and the Hogs. Unfortunately, they lost to Rice that day, but he gave me a souvenir on the way home to make me feel better. Played there at Catholic High for the Rockets. I covered dozens of games as a sports writer, high school and college games at War Memorial. And now on Friday nights, the Rockets are at home. I'm out there watching my daughter perform as a Mount St. Mary Rockette. So it means a lot to me, and this stadium means a lot to a lot of people. It's Arkansas's War Memorial Stadium, and I'm looking forward to its future. Thanks.
Somehow I think War Memorial will be in good hands under your guidance. I also wanted to recognize that Jerry Cohen is really doing a terrific job there with the resources he has managing the stadium, and ask Jerry to make any comments.
Thank you. War Memorial Stadium is an icon. It's a place where people gather, and we have a lot of events going on. Maybe the state doesn't completely understand that 250 days out of the year, we have one or more events that are at War Memorial Stadium. So we are an event center as well as a football stadium, and we look at this opportunity as a chance for growth. There's a possibility for additional revenue, just as the governor spoke about, with grants and funding through parks, and it gives us an opportunity to maybe expand in areas that we weren't able to expand in just being a standalone state agency. So we appreciate the fact that the governor has stepped in and is in his guidance and looking forward to the feasibility study that's upcoming, and look forward to working with Parks and Tourism and the governor's office to make continue War Memorial's success. As you know, War Memorial has been remodeled over the last 15 years. There's only two bathrooms and a kitchen that hadn't been redone. So we're basically a new structure other than the concrete and the bleachers. So we're looking forward to this. We're looking forward to this opportunity, and I look forward to working and moving forward in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. And then Brenda, as representing the commission.
Thank you, Governor. I have been on the War Memorial Stadium Commission for 19 years. I know I don't look that old, but I have. My daddy was on it for 17, okay? So it has a real special place right there. Kane, I'm a former sports reporter too. But you know, this is wonderful news for a stadium that is in need. We need help, and today's announcement is defining some help. I commend you, Governor, for so quickly responding to a call for help. This stadium, I mean, you just say something bad about War Memorial, be quoted in the paper and see what happens. I've done it before, okay? And this stadium is for all of Arkansas. Kane said it best when he said that. Jerry Cohen has done a fabulous job aggressively marketing the stadium, and I want to commend you for that. There are a lot of events that are non-sports events that are out there, events that you never would have dreamed being hosted in the concourse of a stadium or being hosted there, and then up in the suite level. People love that as a meeting venue. I have had some experience earlier in my career with Parks and Tourism. I know the power. I know the leadership of Parks and Tourism, and their marketing facilities, their marketing abilities, I meant to say, are second to none. And this is going to be wonderful. And Governor, thank you from all of my family. My daddy upstairs is looking down, and he's thrilled. So thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. And finally, I wanted to recognize many of the commissioners from Parks and Tourism that have joined us today, providing incredible leadership for all of our parks and our tourism industry. Thank you for being here today. With that, I'll turn it over for any questions.
How much are you spending on the study on the stadium? I guess when are you going to get recommendations by?
Well, that has to go through an RFQ process, and so that will be moving quickly. I talked to Jerry about it, and he has a good list of consultants already, but we'll need to do a bid proposal for that. And so we'll go through the usual procurement process for that consulting contract, and we'll move expeditiously on that.
I guess do you have a timeline? Do you want to have the recommendations before legislature meets next year?
You know, I don't think it's tied to that at all. We want to move it quickly, but we do have a procurement process that has a number of steps to it, and we want to have that open, and so I'll have to look at the timeline on it, but we will move expeditiously for that. And in terms of the, I've asked Jerry, I think that you know, they might need a little help on a RFQ procurement working with DF&A, so I know that DF&A will be supportive in helping to draft that, as well as Kane and Parks and Tourism. So we'll pull together to get that done as quickly as possible. And then when the legislature meets, we will need a statutory change to make this transfer, and we will present that legislation early in the session.
Do you have any thoughts on the Razorbacks continuing their Little Rock game after 2018?
I have Jeff Long behind here, and he's going to, I'm just joking. There's no announcement that I'm aware of in the coming days on that, so that's a decision that the University of Arkansas has to make, and we'll see what decision they make. But, you know, from my standpoint, I want the Razorbacks to continue playing in War Memorial Stadium. I would like to see that happen. But that's a decision that the University of Arkansas independently makes, and whether they make the decision to continue playing here or not, I want War Memorial Stadium to be the best venue that we can have for Central Arkansas, but also the state of Arkansas.
Does Parks and Tourism have an opinion about that?
About what?
About having the Razorbacks at the stadium? You're going to be marketing.
We do. I'd love to see him play at least one game in War Memorial going forward. I think it could be done. I think it'd be interesting if they played the last game of the year at War Memorial when the students are gone in Fayetteville. Razorback Stadium, a good place to have it here in town. So I'd like to see that continue. It's a strong tradition, and you know, we have to prepare for life with or without the Hogs. But yeah, I'd like to see it happen.
If I may come to the podium to say the commission welcomes the stadium continuing to be host to the Razorbacks, and I wore my red today.
So is the entire commission okay with this proposal, or is there disagreement amongst the commission or the proposal?
I'm not aware of any disagreement on the commission. You see the quote from Chairman Kevin Crass. I know there's a quote there from Chris Beckett. You've heard from Brenda. So I haven't talked to each one of them, but somebody has, and so I'm not aware of any disagreement on that.
How's it
Governor, have you talked to any of the lawmakers about this? Have you had any
We have. We've had, not everyone, but we've have talked to a number of them, and I think there's good support for this. I hope that support will grow.
How will the commission and the Parks and Department work together? I mean, who has the decision-making authority? Does that change at all under this agreement?
Well, it's very similar to whenever we transferred the History Commission to the Department of Heritage. The History Commission stayed intact. We didn't abolish that. And so I think it's very important in this type of operation that you have a group of commissioners that's solely devoted to War Memorial Stadium, its marketing, its future, its presence, its being an ambassador for the stadium and the events that are there. Obviously, that's under the umbrella of Parks and Tourism in a more broad fashion. So this is not unusual in state government, so I would see the commission having a continued role for the reasons I just stated. But you know, I look to Kane Webb, I look to Jerry to making the enterprise of War Memorial Stadium a success, and Parks and Tourism Commission guides it both in the direction of the funding. They control the money there, and they control the resources. So we work together as a team, and that's how it should continue.
So where is this, anyway, this budget reduction for the second year, is this anyway tied to trying to cut taxes and go through a bunch of hidey holes to cut income taxes?
No, it's just simply a matter of managing state government and managing the agencies. And I looked at War Memorial Stadium, and first of all, when I realized it's a direct report to me, that it's not any broader part of my cabinet, I said they need more guidance, they need more support, they need more strength. Secondly, I've been looking at it for, you know, a year and a half as to, you know, their budget and looking at it historically, and historically, War Memorial Stadium has operated without any general revenues. And that changed about 2006. And so I wanted to fully fund them the first year of the biennium, and then I wanted to start on the path of self-sufficiency. And this is a reasonable way to do it whenever the second year the general revenue portion is cut simultaneously with the bond payment being foregone and concluded. And then thirdly, we have this initiative with Parks and Tourism as well as the independent stadium consultant. All of that tied together, this is good management. This ultimately sets the goal of a self-sustaining War Memorial Stadium as it has been historically. And you think about whether it's a state health department budget or a whole host of different budgets, including the Department of Corrections, we generally fund operations, and capital improvements are separately handled. And so we're looking at an operational budget that we want to move to self-sufficiency. But obviously for long-term improvements, the operating budget can't cover that, so you need to have grant resources, you need to have other access to capital investments, and that's separately handled. So this is a good management effort that will make War Memorial Stadium stronger.
Do you have any models out there that you looked at maybe in other states or in other communities that have a similar kind of model as this you're going to?
I couldn't. Jerry might be able to point to something. Jerry, do you want to comment on that?
Sure. There are other stadiums that are like this. For instance, Birmingham is under the Parks and Recreation of the city of Birmingham. So there, you know, Shreveport, Memphis are also independent stadiums that at one time did not have a college football team with them. Now a couple of them do, but Birmingham now has the University of Alabama at Birmingham does play their games there. But they were in a situation similar to ours with Alabama leaving their confines and returning to Tuscaloosa, and then the city of Birmingham was faced with the same situation, and they brought them under Parks and Recreation.
What are the health of those programs now?
I can't answer that. I don't know. Sorry.
Do you have an update on where you are in terms of proposed income tax budget?
I have no update for that. Actually, seriously, I'm meeting regularly with DF&A, looking at the projections and the budget for next year, but there's no announcement on that. I do want to just go back a little bit to the previous question as to the model. I just think with the sports emphasis that we have in Arkansas, the incredible athletic teams, that there will be sports teams that want to build a following in Central Arkansas, and there's opportunities for that. So I think there'll be a lot of discussions as we continue to make War Memorial Stadium strong as to who wants to seize those opportunities for a Central Arkansas market. And whenever you see two high school teams play with 31,000 in the stands at War Memorial Stadium, clearly, there will be higher level sports at the collegiate level that will want to utilize the incredible fan base here in Central Arkansas. Any final question?
Governor, may I just add one thing?
Jim, you certainly may. Come up to you can come up to the podium.
I just want to thank you mainly, so I don't need to give a speech, but as chairman of the Parks and Tourism Commission and with two other commissioners, John Gill and Sash Goyle here, and I may be missing someone, Kane has made us aware of this in advance, Governor. We had obviously a lot of questions. We are really very, very excited about this and give you and the state and War Memorial Commission our 100% commitment that we will do everything to work with you and the state to make this even bigger and better for the future for Arkansas. Thank you for doing this, Governor.
Jim, you always get the last word. That's good.
One more question. You were talking about a Central Arkansas team focus. I know that people have mentioned UALR starting a football program, and I didn't know if you were hinting at something like that.
You know, there's only so far I should put my toe in the waters of collegiate sports, and I'm not sticking it any further. Thank you all very much.